But before we start, hang on. What's this? Hang on. A letter from the boss. Dear Sir, Madam, name 5 things you did at work this week. What? Well, on Sunday I did Outsiders, and then I did Bolt, and I'm doing the show now, and that's 3 things. I don't know. I can't think of anything else. Am I going to be fired? Yes, that, of course, has been the reaction by millions of lovies within the woke American bureaucracies to the email sent out by Elon Musk to all US government employees to name 5 things they did this week.
I thought it was great because we have people that don't show up to work and nobody even knows if they work for the government. So by asking the question, tell us what you did this week, what he's doing is saying, are you actually working? And then if you don't answer, like, you're sort of semi-fired or you're fired.
Yep, the man who turned firing people into a multi-million-dollar top-rating TV franchise is now firing all the hangers-on and time-wasters within the deep state. Needless to say, the lovies are losing their minds, even comparing receiving the email to living in North Korea.
It felt so scary and so heartbreaking. It felt much like I would imagine living in a place like what I always imagined North Korea to be like would be like.
Too funny. But imagine if Elon had to fill in one of his own emails. Monday, sent a rocket to Mars. Tuesday, caught a rocket when it landed. Wednesday, sent out 3 million emails, got 1 million back. Thursday, fathered a couple more kids. Friday, popped into the Oval Office to clean out the deep state. There you go. Another lovey who's had a busy week is Amazon owner, the billionaire Jeff Bezos. This week he decided to enshrine the concept of free speech, free markets and personal liberty into the newspaper he owns, the Washington Post, by banning people from writing against free speech. I don't think, Jeff, you actually understand how free speech works. Then there's the unelected head of the EU, Ursula von der Leyen, trying to sell the concept of pre-bunking. The what? Yep, it's the latest Davos-style word for censorship.
Pre-bunking is much more successful than debunking. Pre-bunking is basically the opposite of debunking. In short, prevention is preferable to cure. Perhaps if you think of information manipulation as a virus, instead of treating an infection once it has taken hold, that is debunking. It is much better to vaccinate so that the body is inoculated. Pre-bunking is the same approach.
Honestly, leave aside for a moment that grotesque equivalence that this woman draws between information manipulation, in other words, information or opinions that are not politically correct, and a virus. I wonder which one she had in mind. Ooh. What this incredibly powerful woman is suggesting is that the government or social media platforms or some authority censor any and all social media discussions that they don't approve of in order to vaccinate the population against wrongthink. Remember Minority Report, the Tom Cruise movie where they predicted a crime before it actually occurred?
Tell me exactly what it is you're looking for. Flaws.
You ever get any false positives?
We are arresting individuals who have broken no law.
But they will.
The fact that you prevented it from happening doesn't change the fact that it was going to happen.
Unbelievable. Now these authoritarians and fascists of the EU want to predict your opinions and pre-bunk them before you've even had them. Genius. And how does pre-bunking work in practice? We saw it during the Hunter Biden laptop scandal in the run-up to the 2020 US election when the Secret Service and all the media told us that the laptop story was a lie. That is pre-bunking, and it is a disgrace. But who in Australia could be the pre-bunker in chief? Well, one candidate would probably be our current e-safety commissioner, Lady Davos herself, seen here speaking on the very topic at the World Economic Forum 2 years ago.
I think we're going to have to think about a recalibration of a whole range of human rights that are playing out online, from freedom of speech to the freedom to, to be free from online violence.
At that same chilly Davos conference, Ms. Inman Grant also had this to say.
Do you believe that the First Amendment has too high a bar for the online era?
The First Amendment does not apply in Australia.
So, no First Amendment guaranteeing free speech in Australia. Nah, not a problem apparently. Just do whatever we're told to do. Since then, Mazinman Grant has been busy banning videos online, including one where a midwife said that men cannot breastfeed, and threatening people such as Celine Baumgarten for simply reporting certain queer activities within our schools. Last week, she also explained how she is busy investigating 45 different ways to ban under-16s from going onto social media.
We also have the government conducting an age assurance trial where 45 different technologies are being tested, and we'll have a preliminary report then about which are passing muster.
I would say this abomination of a policy supported shamefully by the coalition is almost certainly totally unworkable other than by limiting all our rights to free speech in 45 different ways. But that's okay, remember, because Australia doesn't have a First Amendment. Or do we? Yesterday, the House Judiciary Committee passed the No Censors on Our Shores Act in the USA. This potentially changes everything, because what the bill does is block any foreign officials who violate America's First Amendment rights from stepping foot onto US soil. Now, I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but this could spell all sorts of trouble, not only for our ONE Safety Commissioner. Remember how she laughably tried to block the entire world, including the US, from viewing the Bishop Mari Emanuel video? Well, would that count? And I would argue it not only kills off the under-16 bill, how does that possibly work? It kills off all those misinformation, disinformation attempts, I reckon. As I've said repeatedly, Peter Dutton is completely on the wrong side of this argument, and he will learn so to his detriment when he becomes Prime Minister, which he will be in a couple of months' time. Look how J.D. Vance treated the British Prime Minister yesterday.
I said what I said, which is that we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies, but we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and, by extension, American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
Ooh, we've had free speech in Britain for a long time. Yes, you have, and you've got rid of it, haven't you? Britain may have once had a proud history of free speech, but over the last decade it has completely trashed it. Here's where Britain, or rather Scotland, stands today.
I should be really clear. Praying in of itself is not an offence under this bill. We are not banning prayer under the Act.
Performative prayer. If you're standing at a window with your hands together in front of your face in that classic kind of, you know, that classic image of prayer, if you're standing at a window so people can see you, then could it be interpreted as an offence?
That then depends on who's passing the window and whether anybody can. So he's not wrong, is he, J.D. Vance? No,
he's not wrong.
He is wrong, because if I don't know anyone that can pray loudly or performatively enough to be seen from outside their own house.
Here I am at the window praying, yep. Whoop, next thing the police are around. That's where all this war on free speech inevitably takes you. Pre-bunking information and the government telling you what you're allowed to say and even what you're allowed to think. Here this week we saw the mass hysteria over a joke made by a foul-mouthed radio host about a woman's soccer team. Proving that he's the biggest joker of them all, even the Prime Minister expressed his outrage. Anthony Albanese slams offensive Marty Sheargold's Matilda's comments on Triple M as disrespectful, screamed the headlines. It was a joke. It was a joke. They're a football team. Football teams earn lots of money so bored people can watch them and scream at their television sets in either frustration or joy. If people don't want to listen to crass jokes on the radio, they can switch to a different channel. Or how about, let's get an army of e-safety commissioners to sit in on all radio stations ready to pre-bunk such outrageous slurs against our noble sportswomen. The moment they see Marty's smile, touch of a smile, hit the off button, save our feelings, protect our soccer girls. Or maybe Australia should tread very, very carefully, lose our Aussie larrikin sense of humour, and I'll leave the final warning to Ricky Gervais.
That's the thing about offence, isn't it? When people say they're offended, it's that just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right, you know? It's... offence is about feelings, and feelings are personal. Some people are offended by equality. So what? You know, so you can't second-guess people. If you try and please everyone, you'll please no one. With comedy as well, I think you've got to deal with taboos and contentious issues, and sometimes you deal in irony, and some people don't get that. But, you know, you can't legislate against stupidity, and freedom of speech is so important these days. I've reached the age now where I don't care anymore. It's a sin. Not to joke about all the bad things, that's a waste, because that's exactly what we should joke about. If you can laugh in the face of adversity, you're bulletproof.